Hello, everybody. Welcome to a new story. But I have to tell you from the very beginning that this story has part one. It's crazy, detailed story, so you have to focus with me. I tried to eliminate as much as possible insignificant names and places names because it's you will never know it unless you are interested. Comment on underneath the video so I start mentioning real places names if you want to Google them or take a look at them or see the geographical significant features of it. Anyway, so yeah, this story has a part one, and this is part two. In part one, we reached where Noora, the protagonist of the whole story, completely lost contact with her husband. She moved to live with the princess in Riyadh, and they told you now we have to know what happened to Marwan, her husband, after his mom took him and escaped and ran away and disappeared for probably 18, 19, 20 years. What happened to everybody? And that's part two. And now I'm going to tell you what happened to everybody, specifically Karen, the stepmom. And let's go without any more suspense. Hello. So I'll continue where we stopped last time. So I told you that after Karen, the stepmom, left Noora and escaped with her husband when he was 12 years old, Marwan, his name is Marwan, a lot of events and stuff happened. So we will start by saying that Karen is an Egyptian girl. She lives in Egypt. You remember that she had Marwan from a previous marriage? Now we will talk about that chapter specifically. So Karen's first husband, not ex-husband, because the second husband was Noora's father. So Karen's first husband, before he married Karen or meet her, he was living in a city called Jeddah. Jeddah is a massive port. It's very famous, ancient. They do trading since 1500 years ago, 2000 years ago. So this specific family that has a father and three boys. He had boys and girls, but he had three older boys and the rest were younger girls. His name is Abu Nasr. Nasr was his oldest son. The family was really wealthy because they specialized in a specific market, which is black coral. Black coral back in the days was like diamonds. There was no equipments to dive in the ocean, so if you are really talented in diving and holding your breath for 6 minutes, 7 minutes, that's what the story report is stating, that people there used to hold their breath for 5, 6, 7 minutes. So the holder you can hold your breath, the deeper you can go and fetch that old black coral. Well, they shape it in a specific jewelry shape or beads to make rosaries from it, very expensive rosaries, and they sell them. So this family specialized in this type of craft, and they made so much money because it was like when people first discovered the pearls. So they used to dive in and fetch them, and they used to be sold for so much money until people start to manufacture them. They lost their value. Back in the days, pearls were like gold. So Nasser was really talented, and he was one of the best divers, and he was the main like holder of the whole business. He would work by himself, not just hire people to dive in. And one of the unfortunate days, Nasser got so excited and he dived in really late in the day, because if there is not enough light, you could hit your head in the rocks or whatever happens. This time it was really not there wasn't enough light. The sun was disappearing in the sea, and he dived in the almost in the dark. So he scratched his eyes in one of his jumps with one of the of the coral sharp edges, and he lost his eye. So now he's almost deformed, like his eye is gone. He became so self-conscious about losing his eye and looking like that, to the point that his younger brothers got married and he did not get married. He's now over 30 years old because he just refrained from asking girls for marriage, because probably four, five, six of them says no to him. They didn't want to live with somebody like that, looking like that, or for whatever reason nobody want to be with him. So he just stayed single and just continued diving and working with his dad and just making money. And his dad was really sad about that. And one day you know that area, as I told you, it's where Mecca is. It's close to Mecca. It's like 70 kilometer, which is probably 32 miles, or 20, between 29 and 32 miles. I'm not sure about the math, because 2.5 miles is 2 kilometers and a half, I think, or three quarters is 1 mile. Anyway, so that area is where pilgriming is happening. So a lot of merchants come there, a lot of business people, and a lot of people from outside the country come to just seek jobs and become contractors until today. It's like a metropolitan area. So guess who came looking for a job and got hired? It's Karen's brother. He came and spoke with Abu Nasr. Abu Nasr means the father of Nasr. That's how you call older people by their older son name, and that's a respect. So we have Nasr and Abu Nasr. Abu Nasr means the father of Nasr, and it's a nickname for the father. They call him by his oldest son. So Abu Nasr met Karen's brother, who came from Egypt looking for a job. And he told him, I'm looking for a job. Would you hire me? So Abu Nasr told him, yeah, you are welcome. This is what we do. And you could be, and I'm not sure if he was an accountant, or he was diving with them, or he was just selling the stuff in the shop, or he was a craftsman. They never said anything, details about the type of job he was doing, but he was working with Abu Nasr for years. And he became close to the family. So Abu Nasr one day struck a conversation with Karen's brother. He expressed his concern about Nasr getting older. All his brothers are married and have kids. And back in the days, and still until today, girls get married between 15 and 25. If you are older than that, you consider a maid. Like, you are not good enough for anybody to ask you for marriage. And the same was going for guys. They usually get married between 20, 25, maximum 28. So if you're 30 and above, what's going on with you? Something is wrong with you? Are you missing a leg? Or are you crazy that girls are not, they don't want to be with you? Or anyway, so he was concerned about his son getting older and not having kids and not having a significant other to share this life with. And Karen's brother told him, oh, well, I have a sister. I have a sister. She's in Egypt. She's 20 years old. Do you want the family to come and see her, or shall I call her and you guys can meet and see if you like it or not? And usually the family goes and out of respect to go and see the girl in her family house and ask her for marriage and see if they suits each other. And see if she looks good, if something, whatever they desire, they can go and meet the family and the girl, and then they agree on things. And that's what happened. So Abu Nasr and his mom traveled to Egypt, met Karen family, Karen family there, and wanna express their desire to ask her for marriage, and they approved immediately. So they came back with the bride. It was that fast. Nasser married Karen, and she lived a really comfortable life because they are wealthy people. They are like diamond. In our days now, they are compared to the diamond people whoever is owning diamond business, how wealthy they are. Back in the days, coral and pearls, businessmen were wealthy like that. So she lived a really comfortable life. And in reality, she didn't like Nasser, but she married him because of his money. So she was plotting in secret how she can control his emotions and make him do whatever she wants by being sweet and flirting with him and called him a sweetheart. You're the most handsome man. And he, of course, he never heard these words and nobody expressed love and affection for him before. So he fell in the trap and thought she sincerely loved him and almost controlled him. But his mom noticed, because as I told you, in this culture, everybody lives in one house. So, of course, he lived with his family in the house. Him and her have a room in the house. They lived in a big mansion. Compared to everybody back then, it's considered a mansion, but it's not as big as today's mansions. But it was a big house. She had her own room. She has her own suite. So, and usually the daughter-in-law has a big role in the house. She cook and help the old elder people. She clean the house. She participate in the chores. Whatever they need, she's around the family. She hang out with them. Karen specifically, the Nasser's mom noticed that she's not like normal girls. She wake up like really late afternoon. She doesn't clean in the house. She never cooked. She doesn't participate in anything. She actually was isolating herself and doesn't socialize with anybody in the house. When Nasser is at work, and the diver's work is from sunrise to sunset. That's a long time to be alone in the house, doing everything alone as an older woman. So the mom expressed her concern to Nasser and told him, you should talk to her so she socialize with us or help me in the kitchen or do the laundry with me or anything, because back in the days they didn't have electric ovens. They used probably gas or logs. They would burn coal or logs, and they do laundry manually by hand. They have to put a rod and not rod, a robe and hang the clothes on. It's just a long process, very tiring process. Nasser told his mom, "Oh, she's just a new bride. She will get used to you. I'll talk to her and I'll see what we can do, what I can do." Of course, Nasser was gonna talk to Karen, but he was kind of hesitant, and he told her, my mom is old lady. She needs somebody to help her, if you don't mind. And Karen took it negatively. She said, "Wow, now she's complaining to you about me. She must wanna kick me out of the house." And she just kept it to herself. But deep inside her, she determined that she has to play a game where she has to leave the house and go and move to her own house, in her own place, her own castle. So nobody control her or ask her to work, and she would do whatever she wants, wake up whenever she wants, and sleep whenever she wants. And of course, by then, a couple months passed, Karen got pregnant with Marwan. And Nasser lost his mind. Now she's way more precious than before, and he's deeply in love with her and attached. Because she's playing weak and sweet and nice, when in reality she's just a real life Karen. So the new plot that Karen played is that when Nasser and his father and brothers used to dive and collect those coral pieces, the processing of the coral to shave it and shape it in different type of jewelry or accessories or furniture or rosary beads, is that it has to be baked or cooked. And of course, it's an animal. Coral is an animal, and it smells fishy, so it stinks the house. And Karen sees the chance, and she expressed that, "Hey, Nasser, I cannot handle this stinky smell anymore. I need to go to my own house," because the family had no place to store the coral and process it anywhere else. They used to process it and store it in the house where his mom and dad were. So Nasser has to surrender and fulfill her desire and do whatever she wants. And he rented another house outside, or bought a house actually, a smaller house, and he moved in with her. And this time she completely isolated herself from the family. At least before, she would go up and down the stair or go and grab food, and she would bump into the mom, or when she leave the house or in, she would run into them. But now, since she moved outside to a complete different house, they never saw or heard from her again. She was isolating herself unless they came to visit them and see the baby. Even when she had Marwan, she continued to do the same. She wouldn't let the grandma see her grandchild. She would just kept him at home and would never go to visit or allow them to come. Until the grandma complained again to Nasser, says, "What's going on? I love your son. I want to see him." So Nasser had to interfere and designate a day where either the grandma come or they go and take Marwan to see his grandma. By then, probably 3-4 years passed. By this time, Marwan was like 6 years old. Karen, of course, asked for divorce. It was so much problems with the mom and with Karen, and she couldn't play the game too long because she didn't love Nasser. So Nasser just pulled the trigger and just walked away and gave her the divorce peacefully. And his parents says, "Well, she has your child. He needs his mom, so probably give her the house, let her live there until your son is older enough, and then we can take him." And of course, this is what happened. And Karen, of course, welcomed the idea because she got a free house and she's staying for free. All her expenses are paid, and she's divorced. She doesn't need to deal with Nasser anymore, and she can marry anybody she wants. But they didn't think she would do that because she has a son and she lives in the house. Karen lived like that, and she got sick of it. After a year or 2 years now, Marwan is 7 years old. And at this time, Karen decided to escape the house and escape everything and just walk away and run away from everybody. So she asked her brother that she want to do the pilgrimage in Mecca, which is the next city. As I told you, it's 72 kilometers away. At that year, guess what happened? Going back to our original story number 28, that I told you it's part 1 and this is part 2. Back in that story, you remember when I told you Abu Noora went to do the pilgrimage in Mecca in one of those years? That's the year he met Karen there and married her through her brother again. He met her brother when he was selling the coral to tourists or visitors who will come, and pilgrims who would come and do the pilgrimage. And he met Abu Noora. And Abu Noora was looking for a wife because he was like 13 years single after he divorced Noora's mom. Noora back then, as I told you, was 14 years old, almost. Karen, brother, of course, left working with the Nasser family because of all the drama that happened, and because of his good relationship with the family, he is the one who used to carry Marwan from his sister house to the grandma house so she see her grandson weekly. When Marwan and his sister went to Hajj, both of them never came back to Jeddah. They just disappeared. So Karen got married to Abu Noora, and she started a life in northern Saudi Arabia. She moved completely from the west. Mecca and Jeddah are on the west side of Saudi Arabia by the Red Sea. If you know the Red Sea, the Red Sea has Egypt in one side and Saudi Arabia on the other side. So Jeddah and Mecca were in the west side of the Arabic Peninsula, which is now Saudi Arabia. And that's when the story of of Noora started, and her suffering with her stepmom beating her and plotting against her and want her to get married, and then she kidnapped her. Then the father forced Noora to marry Marwan at 11 years old, and then Karen escaped and left when Noora was 18 and pregnant with Marwan Jr., because we have Marwan the father, who is now 11 years old, and Marwan Jr. that Noora had him when she moved to her aunt in South Saudi Arabia. So when Karen escaped from northern Saudi Arabia with Marwan when he was 11 years old, guess where she went? She went back to Jeddah. She said, hey, I have a wealthy ex-husband, and now my second husband passed away, which is Noora's father. He passed away, and now I need money. I have nothing in this life. I need support. So I have a wealthy, Marwan has a wealthy father, and he was 12 years old then. 11 or 12, 12 years old then. And she thought about trading Marwan for money. She can't just walk in because the Nasser family, which is Marwan father, which is the first husband of Karen, they are wealthy, and they could have looked her up everywhere and fetched her, but they couldn't find her because when they went to Egypt, they couldn't find her family house. They went there once, and her brother took them there, so they don't have an address. And Egypt has, Cairo alone has 70 million persons, so it's like looking for a straw on a pile of hay, or a needle in a pile of hay, as you say. And they have no phones back then, no social media, so it was impossible to find Karen. They tried every best method they can. They couldn't find her. But obviously, through the Saudi borders, she never left. She was in Saudi Arabia, and that's where she was. She was in northern Saudi Arabia, married to Noora's father. So when she went back to Jeddah, she knew one of the co-workers that used to work with her brother. And when he saw her, or when she contacted him and asked him to meet her, he was shocked. He said, "Oh my God, girl, where have you been? They have been looking for you everywhere. What happened to the boy, Marwan?" She said, "Well, he's fine. He's 12 years old now, and he's fine. And I think I want to return him to his brother, to his dad, Nasser, but they have to pay me a specific amount of money." And she was so dumb. If they are millionaires, if she could ask for whatever number they could have given her, but she asked for probably a couple $100,000. So she's that bad. She's kind of sold her son to make money off him, and then would just walk away. So this co-worker of her brother told her, "Where is your brother? We even looked for him, so he lead us to you, but we couldn't find him." She said, "Don't worry about my brother. Forget about him. He's not involved in this story, and I don't know actually where he is." So he told her, "What do you want me to do?" She said, "Well, I want you to go and let them know what I just told you, that they can have Marwan, but I need this specific amount of money to be put as cash in a bag. I want to get the money first from you, not them. I don't want to see them. I don't want to meet them." And he told her, where shall we meet?" She said, "Well, I'm not that dumb. I'm going to find you. Just keep the money on you, and I'm going to find you within 2 days." Because she knows where he lives. She knows where the manufacturing is, where the house is, but they don't know where she is. This co-worker of her brother went directly to Abu Nasser and Nasser, and he was like, really excited to tell them the news that because they put a ransom actually on him, because whoever is gonna find Marwan or his mom, he will be rewarded with big amount of money. And so he was happy. And actually Karen knew about this, so she to encourage the co-worker not to tell about her name or where she is or any more details, she told him, "I'm gonna pay you on top of the bounty, I'm gonna pay you more." So he went to Nasser and his father and told them what happened, that he met Karen and she has the boy and she's ready to give him back to his parents, but she's asking for money. Immediately, without any negotiation, Nasser and his father put the money in a bag and gave it to the coworker and told him, please go now. He said, I can't go now. I don't have any address and I don't know where she is. Just be patient and she's going to come and fetch the money as soon as possible. By now, I think a day or two passed because she didn't want them to go and look for her and she didn't want to stay in town any longer. She walked to the guy's house. She didn't walk to his work or waited for him after he left work. She went to his house and knocked the door and told him, give me the bag. And Marwan was with her. And she just handed the boy to him and took the bag and ran away. And they never seen her again. Of course, what happened after that is the coworker took Marwan to his grandfather and his father Nasser. Nasser collapsed in tears because he hasn't seen his son since he was 7 years old. So it was really a good time for them, and they were really paranoid to the point that they didn't take him to a regular school. They brought a private tutor at home to teach him, because they were so paranoid and scared that she's gonna kidnap him again for money, or just after she got the money she would just take him and run away. They didn't trust her at all. Of course, Marwan told his family, hey, I got married and I have a baby. I'm gonna have a baby soon. And they thought this is one of Karen's plot, that she would played with the kid brain, because he's just 11 and 12. He was 12 years old. How could he have a baby? So nobody believed him. So they thought it's one of Karen's plot, and they just dismissed him. Yeah, sure, your baby. And Marwan wasn't mature back then, so he just was depressed for a little bit, and he got busy with life. And of course, he never forgot about the love of his life. She was like a mom to him, and he never had real mom care when Karen kidnapped him and escaped. Anyway, by this time, Karen went back to North Saudi Arabia, where her story continued. And this time she met a guy. His name is the Burner. That's his nickname. They called him the Burner. Why did they call him the Burner? Because this guy, since he was a kid, he was massive troublemaker. What we would call him today an ADD, an extreme case of ADD, an extreme case of probably of DHD. There was no treatment back in the days or recognition even of the disease. He was absolutely hyperactive. He was a troublemaker in the school, so he got expelled. He was a troublemaker in the neighborhood. This kid burned everything in his way. One day they used to make cotton, I think, collect cotton or wool from the animals, and he did it in front of all the kids in the neighborhood. He set the pile of wool in fire and burned it, all of it. So next day, the family was investigating who did it, and all the kids, they said the burner did it. He had an extreme fetish in burning stuff. He would pour gasoline on the animal's back and burn it. He would burn the chicken's feather. He would put a firecracker or gasoline in an ant house and just set it on fire. Like anything. And he was just a troublemaker, to the point that when the neighbors start coming to complain all the time about his son, he said, if you are gonna kill him, I don't care. He's not my son. I don't want him in the house. And he actually didn't care when the burner, his son, left the house at 15 years old. At just 15 years old, and this is really never happens in the Arabic community. The kids, even after they get married, they stay with their parents. So this was really an extreme case of a very rebellious son. At 15, he became a big thief. He started robbing people properties, stealing chickens and cook them in the desert and disappeared for 2 days, then come back. And then his dad, that's when his dad just gave up on him and told the neighbors, nobody complain about him, he's not my son, I don't want him in my life anymore. And then the son escaped and start looking for another city where nobody knows him. Years passed and he lived off theft. He lived off theft in a city close to where his parents are, but it's a little bit far away from the northern part of Saudi Arabia, but it's where Karen was living. It's all the southern part of Saudi Arabia, but it's not small towns. It's big city, but it's far away from his hometown, but in the same region of Saudi Arabia. And that's where he became really professional. He's now in his late 20s. The photo ID and the photo cards came out, and he became a professional in faking IDs. He never had a name for one name, ever. He had multiple, like 10, 20 names, and each name he used to use it for a specific scam or for a specific job where he scammed people. And unfortunately, the burner has a very pretty face. He was really good looking, as most people from the northern part of Saudi Arabia, because the mix of different nations through the years, when the Romans invade the northern part of the Arabic Peninsula, and the Mongols, and it's just the Persians. So the people there, they look mixed and they are very pretty. They are mixed nations with all nations. So he was blessed with a good look, which made his job of robbing people and scamming them very easy. People would trust him because he would dress up and look really nice easily. And he would dress accordingly with every job he scammed people at, or because he was a contractor, he would just walk in businesses or people and offer his services as a contractor, would scam them and walk away. And they could never find him because there wasn't a census back then in the 60s. Probably they did, but it wasn't mandated and all over the country like now. So they could never catch him because he never used his real name and nobody knew him. And that's when Karen met him. Of course, she met him in one of these occasions in the market. She, of course, when she got all that money, she bought a little bit of a business which is making headscarf and body cover. I'm sure you have seen them. You guys call them ninjas, where they cover the face and only the eyes shows, or they cover the head. The scarf, the black scarf, and the black, they call it abaya, the body cover that Muslim women wear. So that's her business. And he walked into her, and of course she started a conversation with him. She liked him so much. He was telling her, what is your name? And just a small little chat. And he told her, what are you doing here? She said, well, I'm selling abayas and scarves. And he said, and he started laughing at her, like making, in a sarcastic way, this is not gonna take you anywhere. This is not even a real business. How much profit are you making? Almost nothing. You should do a better business like me. And of course he was scamming her. He didn't have a business and never had a business. And she lost her mind. She actually liked him so much because he was so handsome. And she trusted him. So she told him, how much do you need? He told her, I need a very big number. You are not even qualified for this with your business. Keep selling and doing your work until you collect enough money to come in and do business with me. Then contact me and come back to me. She told him, no. I have a bag of money. I have so much money. It's not just this business. I'm doing this just to kill time and have a more source of income. I'm not gonna just spend the money I have, and she lied. She said, I inherited money and I have it at home. She's like kind of begging him to take her money to invest and multiply it. Then the burner, by the way, that's the closest translation of it. I tried probably the Google Translate told me either it's the burner or the torch. Torch has a positive kind of connotation to it, so definitely it's the burner. Uh, is the closest nickname to how the report mentioned him. So when she told him she has a bag of money at her home, he lost his mind. Like, bingo, that's his biggest hunt for the day, to scam and steal her money. Given how she was acting around him, he knows most girls are attracted to him, they want to be with him. Let alone she wants him to invest her money and make it grow. Stupid woman. So he told her, where do you have it? She said, at home. He told her, can I go and see it, how much it is? She said, yes, of course, sure, you can come. Of course, when they went home, they did the deed. Like, they had their intimate time together, and which made her more blinded, and he solidified controlling her emotionally. And he told her, yeah, give me your money and I'll triple it for you, quadruple it for you. You will be a millionaire. The damn woman gave him the bag, and she never saw him again, of course. Of course. Because he ran away with the money. He has a fake name, fake ID, probably 16 of them, and she doesn't even know where he came from, where he lived. Never signed the paper, even if, probably they signed the paper, but if it's a fake name, what is the point? And oh my God, she lost her mind. She looked everywhere. She went to the market, and nobody heard even of that name before. So they told her probably it's a fake name. And back in the days, nobody was faking IDs and fake names. So probably he's the one who invented it, to be honest with you. So, the burner, so she just kept buying and selling her abaya, what they call abaya, as I explained to you, the black cover that women in that area wear on their head and body, and the scarves, the black scarves. She continued doing that, and she continued looking for him, asking about him, because she wants her money back. Regarding the burner, I think he left with the money, but he stayed in the area. He wasn't, because usually when there is a big city, there are small towns around it, and farms, and sometimes small companies, small shops, a city center where there is like a flea market now, or farmers market, something like that, where everybody just lay down a rug and sell their stuff, or fruit or vegetable or clothes. So he was smoking his cigar, walking with the bag of money, and of course nobody knew it's a bag of money. And he was thinking what he's gonna do next. He was walking back to his place, passed by a bunch of farms, and he threw the bag in his house. He hid it underneath the bed and went out again, and kept smoking his cigar, and sat by a farm, massive farm. It's like, I don't know how it is in hectares or yards, but it's like one kilometer, square kilometer. That's a lot of space for a farm. It was full of fruits and grains, and the type of a grain that make a bread and like flour with it. I don't know what is its name in English. Probably wheat. Yeah, wheat. So he was thinking, plotting how he can scam the owners of this farm. So he went and spoke with the guy who was cultivating the land and digging in it, and he told him, who owns this land? He told him, well, I'm just a hired worker. If you want to meet them, you can come on a Friday and you will see them. And it was a massive, amazing farm. Has fruits and has palm trees as far as your eyes can go. And palm is not palm. I mean the dates, which is the fruit that comes from the palm trees. Probably Western people have never seen it. Usually, you guys see the dates, which is the palm after. The dates after it become uh, overripe, and they let it dry and settle and sit for a couple months, and then it become dates. Before it become dates, it's really like an apple, the fruit itself. It's a crispy and it's really sweet, amazing. I love it so much. Um, they have it in yellow colors, they have it in red colors and a green color. They have it fat, skinny, small, big. There is almost 110 type of it. So that's used to be sold for a lot of money, and it's food for people for months. You can store it for years and it will never go bad. But you have to do it the right way, of course. Bag it and empty the bag of air. So his idea is that he wanna scam the landowners and steal the entire crops from them. How he's gonna do that? Let me tell you next. So after he saw the land, and he told the worker that he want to meet the owners of the land on a Friday, he went and looked for tractors, people who cultivate the land. Usually back in the days they used to hire somebody and rent tractors to do it. Not all farms people own their own tractors. So he went and met with those contractors of the tractors or cultivating machines and told them, hey guys, I need your help to cultivate this land for me. I own a land that is one square kilometer. And they told him, oh, we are already booked. We can't do that for you. And he told them, well, how much are guys you being paid? They said, we are being paid 3% on the total, the whole thing. He said, well, I'm gonna pay you 10. Oh my God, they lost their minds. It's 100 square kilometer, not 100, I mean 1 square kilometer, which is 1,000 square meter. That's a lot of space. And they lost their minds. Oh my God, the land is that big, and it's way better deal for them than whoever contracted with them. So they canceled on him and told him, yeah, we will meet you Sunday. He said, I'm in a rush. The land is ready. And he said, we'll meet you Sunday. And he agreed with them, left happy, and he told them, I'm going to come and pick you up and show you where the land is on Sunday morning, and left them. On Friday, he met eventually with the owners of the land, and he told them, hey guys, do you have anybody who cultivate the lands for you? I own multiple businesses and I have dozens of tractors that can cultivate the lands for you and do whatever you want and pack the fruits and vegetables and the dates and everything and the wheat. They said, oh really, you have that? That's awesome. How much do you charge? He said, I charge you 3%. They said, oh my God, that's it? He said, yeah, I have so much business and I help the locals and I don't need, and this way everybody's happy. I make enough. And they told him, when can you do that? He said, Monday. Monday you all be ready. And that's it. That's how he struck the deal with them. And that's how he's gonna scam everybody. The land is not his. And of course, when the tractors owners showed up on Sunday to cultivate the land, they had to speak to the owner of the land directly, which is the burner. He met with them there. He set a camp, like a tent and a camp there until they arrived in the morning and waited for them, welcomed them. They cultivated the entire land and left the crops in the side and left. And he gave them the 10%. Or probably he didn't give it to them. Sorry, I apologize. He didn't give it to them. He told them, come and meet me on Tuesday. And I'll pay you for everything. And if you have, what do you call it? These machines that carry the crops to another area, please be ready, so you help me carry all the crops. They said, oh, we didn't agree on this. This is, you have to pay separate for that. He said, yeah, of course I'll have to pay you for that. And as I promised you, I'll pay you double. Whatever you guys charge, we are now a family, we are friends, I'm your customer, we will do this every year. So he gained their trust. because they saw the land, how big it is, and he will never escape. Who would leave his land? So he cannot steal them and leave. They didn't know he doesn't even own the land. This is a Friday. Now, Saturday, he was already contracted with a third company that carried everything to the market to sell it in Riyadh or some other bigger city. So he scammed the owners of the land, he scammed the tractors owners, and the only person that he paid is the people who carried the crops, who thought he owned the land. They didn't know it's not his land. Now, the tractor owners showed up on Monday. No, the owners of the land showed up on Monday because they want to cultivate the land, and as he promised them, and he's going to meet them early in the morning, they came and they saw the entire crops are being already cultivated and picked. There is nothing in the farm, and they lost their minds. So they went looking for him, and they couldn't find him. They don't have a name. There was no pictures back then, nothing. He was just like a piece of salt that melted, and he took their entire year worth of crops. This was Monday, and because he told the tractors to show up at Tuesday, the tractors showed up at Tuesday and met with the owners of the land, the real owners of the land. They said, "Oh, where is the crops? We came here to pick it up." And the owners of the land said, "Who are you guys?" He said, "We are the people who cultivated the land." "Where is the owner of the land?" They said, "We are the owners of the land." "Did you steal our crops?" They said, "No, you are supposed to pay us. We never got paid for cultivating the land and picking up the crops and gathering them, the fruits and gathering them." And then they had a massive fight. Everybody's accusing the other one of being lying and stealing their money, and eventually they found out they both have been scammed. They reported it to the police, but the police says this is not the first time we get a report from somebody who has a fake name or with the same description, but we cannot catch him. We don't know where he is. Probably he left the city again. And that's how he made his big deal. And one day I think he was in the hospital scamming somebody else, probably a physician or a family. And guess who he ran into? Karen was admitted there. Because he stole her money, she fell in a massive psychological collapse. She couldn't eat, she couldn't function. She just want to find this guy who scammed her and took her entire wealth and walked away. Immediately she jumped out of her bed. She thought she saw the burner passing in front of her. She said, "Really? Is this real?" And she ran after him and she told him, "Burner, you traitor, you thief." And she almost was too loud in the hospital, and to calm her down, he told her, "Hey, where have you been? I have been looking for you everywhere," the liar. He pretended like he's the one who's looking for her. She said, "You lied to me, you thief." He told her, No, I didn't lie to you. Your money is at work and we made so much money. You are wealthy now. Let's go home and talk about this." And she said, "Well, I'm admitted in the hospital." He told her, "Well, I don't see anything is wrong with you. Let's go home and solve this problem. And not solve this problem, I mean, let's go home and I'll give you your share of all the profit and I'll tell you what I did." He just want to get rid of her. He didn't want to do, because she made almost a scene in the hospital and will call him out. And people might gather on him, and probably authority will come and show up and arrest him or something, like the guards in the hospital. So he just want to get rid of her and get out of the situation by just taking her away from the hospital to communicate with her. He went to her house and they did the deed again, like a makeup sex or something after what he did. And the dumb woman, she fell for him again, and he seduced her and just blinded her with his kindness and sweet words. And then she told him, "Now you have to tell me what is your real name and show me your real ID." This time he told her his real name, which is Rashid. He told her, "But everybody called me the burner because I used to burn a lot of stuff when I was younger, and I used to burn a lot, and I have a fetish in burning things. Actually, you reminded me of my favorite hobby." And somehow he convinced her to or probably forced her in tying her hands behind her back. He poured gasoline on her and in the entire house and just set everything on fire and escaped to get rid of her, because he would definitely never give her her money back. And the poor Karen, that's how her life ended. She just got burned to death. Of course, the neighbors saw the fire, and back in the days, investigation wasn't as uh, advanced as now. Of course, the police showed up, they investigated everything, and the burner was so smart. He tied her up with a fabric. Um, the robe was made of a fabric that can burn in fire. He was smart, so when they found the body, she was burned, but there is no clue that somebody tied her because it burned. The robe burned, and the neighbors, of course, knows her, and they know the story of her son when she kidnapped him, and they know the story of her ex-husbands. Of course, authority took all this information and informed her first husband, Nasser, and of course now the neighbors told the police the story. Now the police told Nasser the story about that his son has a kid, and now they believed his son when he told them that he has a kid. And but they couldn't find the kid, Marwan Jr. And of course Marwan the kid, his mom died, but he was almost 17, 18 years old, and he stayed with his father. His father took good care of him, and almost he's now going to college. And he finished his higher education, and now he's a tenure in a university in Riyadh. He got a big job in a big university in Riyadh, and he became probably either tenure or adjunct professor. And back in the days, you don't need a PhD. Now you need it. Back in the days, there were a scarcity of higher degree holders, and he was brilliant. He was really a smart, good kid. So he kept going back and forth between Jeddah, where his father was living, and between Riyadh. And now he's in his 30s. Marwan, the father, who was a 12 years old kid, now he's married, and he has children, and he's in his 30s. And one day in the university, I think, I forgot to tell you, Marwan, the father, major was Arabic language and literature. That was his major, and that's what he taught in the university. And one day in the university, he was teaching in a class, and there was a fuss among the students that this students look exactly like the professor. And he thought it's just a coincidence. He didn't see the resemblance between them, but all the students thought that they are brothers. And the funny thing is that the kid name is Marwan, and the teacher name is Marwan. So he taught the class for a week or two, and then probably first week or second week, when he gave them a quiz, he noticed that his full family name, the kid was 19 years old, and his name is Marwan, and then the family name, the father name, and then the family name, which was exactly like the Professor Marwan name, the father. So he called the student Marwan, and the student freaked out. He was like, he saw the stress on this professor's face, and he told him, "Where are you from?" He said, "Well, I'm from I'm from the southern part of Saudi Arabia, but I'm in Riyadh living with my mom in the princess house with my mom aunt, and that's where we moved from, and just we reside here because my mom is working with the princess in Riyadh. And he told him, "What is your mom name?" And he said, "Well, my mom name is Noora." And oh my God, the Professor Marwan, which is the dad, Marwan, the father, he collapsed and started crying and hugged the student. The student freaked out. What's going on? He told him, "Well, this is gonna sound really weird. You are my son. I had you when I was 12, 13 years old, and I lost contact with your mom. My mom kidnapped me, and I never seen your mom again, and I cannot believe fate made us meet each other again." And I actually looked up the story online and the interview, and it was really emotional. It was crazy. Like there is no words to describe how the grandchild was describing how his father met his grandfather, which is Marwan meeting Marwan, Marwan the son meeting Marwan the father. And of course, the interview was with the grandson, which is the Marwan the son, the 19-year-old kid, who was telling the story about his father and grandfather and his grandma, which is Noora. And after that, Marwan the father told him, "I have to see your mom. Where she is?" He told him she's at home. I don't know what we can do. Do you want to go and see her? And he said, "Yeah, immediately after I finish my teaching classes and you finish your classes, let's go to her house. Like I can't wait. I have to see her. And don't tell her this is me." And this culture is conservative. You can't just walk into people's homes and just knock the door because what the women cover, they cover their heads or their faces sometimes. So Marwan the son with the Marwan the father knocked the door of the house, and Noora opened the door, and she absolutely didn't recognize Marwan the father, which is her husband, who last time she saw him, she was 17, he was 11 years old, 11 12, and she was 17 18. And Marwan the father was of course has a big smirk in his, not smirk, big smile on his face, and she was surprised, like, who is this stranger? She was asking her son, who is this guy? He told her, "Mom, he's a really dear guest, and I think we should host him, and then I'll tell you who he is." She said, "No, you cannot. I can't have a strange man in the house. What are you doing? He has to tell me who he is now." Then Marwan the father told her, "You didn't recognize me?" She said, "No." But then her heart started beating fast, and he told her, "I'm Marwan, your husband." And again, it was in the interview, the grandson was himself crying when he told everybody how his father, Marwan, the son, how his mom first meeting with his dad was. It was very emotional, and of course, Noora never married because she was so loyal. Her love was one of a kind in the world, was a true love. She thought one day she has to meet her husband again, and this moment came. And so they start catching up, and each one of them told each other what happened to them and where Karen kidnapped Marwan, the father, and where she went and what happened to her. And he told her that his mom died in a burning accident. Of course, it wasn't an accident. And the burner actually has a massive story. I don't know if you guys are interested in hearing it or not. Just let me know in the comments. I'll look up his story and tell you. But this is what the interview said, that he has another story. And he got caught eventually. So they knew that he killed Karen and committed a murder. And he told him that his mom died because of a fire accident. Back then they didn't catch the burner, but later on they did. And he told her that he has a wife and kids, and he couldn't find her, and that he were looking for her. And she told him, "Well, how come you didn't leave any information?" He said, "Well, I came back 2-3 times, but nobody was there. I guess you guys moved. She said, if you left information, we would have found you. But he probably was under so much emotional pressure, he forgot. It's fate. Fate didn't want him to find her so he can go back and live with his dad and have a better life. And then she lived an amazing life with this princess, and fate put them back again together. He told her that his wife is in Jeddah with his kids and he has to go back there because his job is in Riyadh, but he has to go back there regularly. So he has to go and take Marwan, the son, with him to meet his grandfather, which is Nasser, Abu Nasser, the coral business owner in Jeddah. He didn't tell his family anything. He went as usual, his usual visit, like every 2 weeks or once or twice a month to see his kids and wife and family. But this time he walked with Marwan Jr., which is a strange man to everybody. And he said, hello guys, this is my friend Marwan. And Marwan was kissing and hugging his grandfather like he knows him. And the grandfather freaked out. He said, what's going on? Like his body language, he couldn't hold it. Who is this? And then Marwan Jr. told him, Dad, you remember the story when I told you I have a son? Well, this is my son. And oh my God, the grandfather was just crying and holding his new grandson. And he said, we looked for you everywhere, but we didn't have any information. We didn't know where you live. All we know that your step-grandma got burned and she kept the secret with her, and we don't know where you are. Anyway, so of course the Marwan second wife, the young one with the kids, she heard about this and she was of course curious. Where is the mom? Where is the mom? Is she here? And Marwan didn't want to tell her in front of everybody. He want to prepare her to for the new situation that he want to go back with his first wife, Noora. Even if she's older than him, they have a massive love between each other. So he facilitated the topic with her and told her, hey, this is a really weird story and she has no life. She never married again. She's waiting for me. And polygamy is allowed in that culture. So his second wife actually took the situation really well. And the grandson who told the story in the interview, he said, if you saw them after that, of course, Marwan, the father, moved from Jeddah to Riyadh, to where Noora was. In the beginning, he was back and forth between Riyadh and Jeddah, and he lived with her, of course, with Noora. But then, so the families, all of them together, he bought a house in Riyadh, and everybody lived in the same house. And the grandson who was telling the story on the interview, he said, if you saw them together, you wouldn't believe that they share the same man. You would think they are best friends. They are sisters. They didn't live separately because sometimes when you marry another woman, you have to separate them from each other because of the drama. These two lived in the same house, used the same kitchen, and like they were one soul. They were like best friends. It was an incredible story. And they lived happily after, and I think Marwan, the father, and Noora is still alive until today. Probably I have to look them up and see what happened. But really wonderful ending to a crazy story. And the burner story, let me know if you want to hear it, and I'll look for it and I'll prepare it. Until our next story, guys, peace and love your way. Take care.